What's up, guys? 5-Star Paintball Tech here, and welcome back to another Boiler Room session. Today we're going to walk through the complete breakdown, rebuild, and tuning of a Generation 5 Intimidator, specifically the Vice. One important thing to note about the Generation 5 Intimidators, there are two different variants, the Vice and the Protege. Both have some differences, which will impact how you rebuild the marker. So for those watching, this only refers to the Vice model. The Protege does have some different parts in the RAM and the Poppet area. So I guess with that said, this video is really meant to pair with the Generation 5 O-ring rebuild kit. This one's short and sweet, guys. There's not too much here. There's going to be 5 bags involved in this. We're going to start first with the bolt O-rings. Per usual. Bag number 2 is going to pertain to the Bob Long 360 regulator. Bag number 3 is going to be the low pressure regulator. Bag 4 is going to be the Poppet and the Poppet housing. And then last but not least, bag number 5 is going to be your RAM itself. So got a good amount of O-rings in the kit. This is going to be good for a full rebuild. And in the next part of the video, we'll walk through all the tools you'll need to rebuild and tune the marker. So stay tuned. All right, so quick tool overview. First, as per usual, we're going to need a Allen key kit. Also going to need a Phillips head screwdriver, a small one. That's going to get to the screws that house the solenoid. We're also going to use some pressure testers, so you could purchase this one off of my website, 5starpbtech.com. It's a fantastic high pressure regulator reg tester that we'll be using to set the high pressure regulator. For the low pressure regulator, we're going to use this handy dandy low pressure reg tester. This one screws right into the RAM sleeve. And then for lubricants, I'm only going to use one. For those who like to lubricate their bolt, I do recommend some Planet Eclipse gun oil. Works great for the bolt O-rings. Do not use Dow 55 grease on the bolt O-rings. It'll only attract dirt, not really add too much benefit. The Dow 55 will go on literally almost every O-ring on the marker. So that's pretty much it. Going to be pretty simple to rebuild and tune the marker. So we'll get into the first bag more soon. All right, guys, so bag number 1 is going to be for rebuilding the bolt O-rings. So to get to the bolt, we're just going to pop the pin up, pull the bolt out. The unspoken hero of all these videos that I always forget to mention that we're going to want is going to be a microfiber cloth. So we're just going to give the bolt a nice wipe down, get those gross colored O-rings out of here. Going to pop those off, and then we're going to use the microfiber right in the little O-ring crevices to clean that up. Something tells me that this gun's a little bit dirty. One thing I always liked about the stock Vice bolt was this huge air inlet hole. And I always wondered why the G6R bolts never used an inlet hole that large. By the way, this bolt will work inside of a G6R. Alright, so set that off to the side. Just pop on all these O-rings. The bolt's all good. So, and might also want to give the pin a nice little cleaning. After that, bolt's rebuilt. We're going to set that off to the side and onto bag number 2. All right, guys, so bag number 2, we're going to be focusing on the high pressure regulator here. To get to it, we're just going to undo the macro line fitting by pushing up on the little collar right here. So you push that up and the macro line pulls right out. We're just going to unscrew the high pressure regulator from here. Set the marker off to the side. And this regulator breaks down pretty simply. Unscrews into 2 halves. just as you see here. We're going to set the bottom half to the side. The top half has 3 O-rings on it. You have one here at the top on the ASA tip. You also have, and that's a 015 Buna 70 durometer O-ring. On the bottom of the body here by the threads that screw into the bottom half, you have a 018 Buna 70 durometer O-ring. And then the last one that you wouldn't expect that we're going to replace is going to be the one inside of the macroline fitting. And that's a 010 Buna 70 durometer O-ring. So first things first, we're going to just clean the threads. Always the prerequisite. And we're going to do it at the top and at the bottom. And it's really important that we do the bottom ones because, and I see this a lot, there's a lot of opportunity for paint and old lube and everything else to just kind of accumulate in here. And when it does, it can basically seize up the bottom half and the top half and just make it really difficult to take off or to twist off from each other. So I'm going to put that down for a second. The bag number 2 has 5 O-rings in it. The first one that we're going to want to go for is the 015. And that's just going to go in place of this top one by the ASA threads. Pop that guy on there. O-ring number 2 is going to be the 018. That's the largest one in the bag. So just pop that off to the side. And just pop that bad boy on. And then the last one, and actually I forgot to mention that we'll need needle nose pliers to get the to the O-ring inside of the fitting. We're just going to use the needle nose pliers to yank the collar piece. That's the piece that fits kind of loose in every macroline fitting, and just kind of pull upwards, and that fitting will come right out. And then inside, probably just want to fish it out with an O-ring pick. And voila, there's an O-ring, and this one's actually in pretty gross shape. So I'm going to throw that out and replace that with a 010 70 durometer Buna O-ring. That's the smallest one inside the bag. And all you're going to do is just pop that back into the fitting, push it down with the O-ring pick, and once it's kind of in there, just follow it with the macroline collar. So top half's rebuilt. Bottom half's going to be just as easy. First thing that we're going to want to do is just get all of the internals out of it. So to do that, you're just going to use needle nose pliers to pull the piston out. And then if you just give the bottom half some taps upside down, the spring stack will come right out. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to take a 1/8 Allen key and use it on the screw, turn it counterclockwise so you could just see a couple of threads showing. That's going to ensure that it's at 0 psi. We're then going to take a microfiber cloth and just run it on the inside bore to clean this thing up. Bada bing. Again, just want to double make sure that the threads are all clean. Set that off to the side. Next up, we're going to clean off the spring stack. These are notoriously dirty. The reason why they usually get pretty dirty is because people like to lubricate them, and there is zero need to do so, I assure you. So we're just going to clean that up really good. And we're actually going to take this whole spring stack apart, and what you'll notice is that there's an O-ring holding it all in place. It's a 011, and we'll replace that on the reinstall. We're going to just tip it upside down, take all these O-rings off, and first thing that we're going to do here is just give it a nice cleaning. There's usually a lot of black gunk in there. Again, an old lubricant. And if you could believe it, I actually like running these dry with no lubricant, mainly because, one, there's no benefit to adding lubricant. So again, it should look like this, nice and shiny and clean. So yeah, one, no benefit to using lubricant on the spring stack. And then two, all it does is it attracts like dust and dirt and gross stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of clean each of these little washers. You'll notice that there's a concave side to the washer, and there's kind of like a raised side. So these go concave side down to start, and then they just alternate from there. So as we clean them, just alternate the orientation of the washers. Easy peasy. And what you'll notice is every other one, they kind of fit into each other, and then they create those gaps. So that's how you know you're on the right track. And the other way that you know you're on the right track is because the last one is going to look like it faces upwards, the concave side up. Cool. So that's all cleaned up and on there in the right position. You're going to go into the bag, grab the smaller of the two O-rings that are left. That's the bigger one on top of the bag. Just slide that over there. We got a clean spring stack, so we're going to throw that back in there. This is going to go, I guess, like, I don't know, metal screw side down so that the O-ring is facing up. Pops right back in. And then we're just going to clean up the piston. This is the last piece. And also the last O-ring that we're going to replace on it. It's a 016 70 durometer Buna O-ring. Clean that O-ring groove. Pop that O-ring back on, and we're going to lubricate this O-ring with the Dow 55. And in terms of how much to use, you really don't need to use too much. So even that's a little bit overkill. So when it's lubricated, it should look just like this. So just enough to cover the O-ring. And then pop that back in. And then screw these halves back together. And then I'm going to bring the marker back into the picture. And what we're actually going to do is put a tank on it. Put a tank on the marker, and then we're going to hook the high pressure regulator up to the high pressure reg tester. And as a starting point, I would just recommend setting the high pressure regulator to about 200 psi. So you can see the setup here is tank on off, to the regulator, to the pressure tester. And if we did this correctly, that airs up with no leaks. And I'm going to get a good angle here. We're just going to set the high pressure regulator to 200 psi. Oop. See how easy it is with a reg tester? So it's at 200 psi. What we're going to do is we're going to press this button on the back to just reset the regulator, and you can see it resets just a touch under 200, so we're just going to give it a little bit extra. And now we're right at 200. And now the regulator's rebuilt. We're going to set this off to the side. All right, guys, we're going to get into bag number 3, which is the low pressure regulator. The marker is starting to disassemble. We're going to go a little bit further. We're going to start by grabbing a 5/32 Allen key. And right in the ASA here, there's a screw that we're going to take out. This is going to be a really short video because it's really easy to rebuild the low pressure regulator here. So we're gonna take out that screw, set that off to the side. And from here, the low pressure regulator just kind of pulls out. So we have the low pressure regulator here. There's 4 O-rings to rebuild this thing in bag number 3. So 3 of them are actually going to be on the LPR body right here. And the first thing we're going to do is just clean that off. And these are just 3, 0, 15, 70 durometer O-rings. Just clean those O-ring grooves per usual. And just go into bag number 3. And pop the new ones on. And what these O-rings do is it keeps the low pressure regulator from over pressurizing if they are cut. So next thing that we're gonna do here, so we're gonna grab 2 Allen keys. We're gonna grab a 1/4 and a 1/8, and we're just going to use the 1/8 to unscrew the adjuster screw right here. Set that off to the side, and then use the 1/4 Allen key to screw off the tip of the low pressure regulator. This is going to be another instance where we just want to clean off the threads here, because if it has gunk and other gross stuff on it, create opportunity to seize up the the 2 halves. We're just going to tap the low pressure regulator down to release the adjuster plate and the mainspring. Just clean those off. And then from here, the last piece to kind of dig out is going to be the piston. We have 2 options for grabbing this thing. The smart way to do it, if you have a set of needle nose pliers that go down deep enough, which this one does not, that would be the best way to do it. But if not, you can do the brute force way, and we're going to tap it till it pops right out. So we're just going to clean off the piston. It's a little white part, looks just like this. And we'll go over the right orientation for it. This is the last O-ring from this bag, and it's a 012 70 durometer O-ring. Like the others, just make sure to get in that O-ring groove. We're going to use some Dow 55 on this when it's ready to go back in. Gonna pop that 012 on there. And then the last thing that I just like to do with these is get the microfiber cloth on the inside of the low pressure regulator body. And not everybody has a Schrader valve tool, but if you really want to get in there, I like using the Schrader valve tool to take the Schrader valve out. And that way you could really get in there for a nice deep cleaning. But in any case, this will definitely suffice. Now that the LPR body is clean, we're just going to lubricate the O-ring on the piston. And again, you don't want to do too much. I'll show you what it looks like. Just enough to cover the O-ring. So it looks like that. So the main thing to note with this is that there's a side with a little stub right there, and then there's a part with a little indent, which you could kind of see. The important piece is that the indent goes down towards the bottom, or towards the Schrader valve. And just use an Allen key to shove that thing down there. So the piston's going to go in first. Next is going to be your mainspring, and then your adjuster plate, and then you have the tip. I'm just going to screw all that back in there. Don't forget to put your adjuster screw back in. And we want to have it showing just a little bit. That's just going to ensure that it's at it's zeroed out at 0 psi. And then that piece is rebuilt. In the next video, we're going to rebuild the Poppet and the Poppet housing using bag number 4. So more in the next video. All right, guys, so for bag number 4, we're going to be replacing the Poppet O-ring and then the Poppet housing O-rings, 4 total O-rings. There's going to be a 006 on the actual Poppet itself, right on the stem, and then the Poppet housing has 3 015 O-rings. So first thing that we're going to do, the Poppet's super easy to get to. It's actually accessible through the front right here, and if you just pull the spring out, that'll be the first piece that comes out. The Poppet can come out. Nice trick here. Make sure that the Poppet's all the way inwards, and then what we're going to do is use the weight of the ram to push it out. Or we could do this the smart way and just grab the Poppet with needle nose pliers. And this one's nice. This one has a low pressure Poppet inside of it. So set the marker aside for a second. And we're just going to give the Poppet a nice cleaning. The Poppet itself uses a 006 70 durometer O-ring that we're just going to get off of here with an O-ring pick. Nice and easy. This is going to be a longer of the videos because it requires a little bit of disassembly to get to the Poppet housing. But once we do, pretty much an easy street from there, and it's all reassembly. Let's grab, and the 006 is the smallest O-ring in the bag. Sometimes that 006 can be a little pesky getting on there. So the O-ring pick's actually your friend. Oh. There we go. All right. So with the new O-ring on there, we're just going to take the Poppet, set that off to the side. We'll bring the gun back in here. So we have a few parts to get off here. Basically, the strategy is to take off the grips. That's going to reveal the board, which will unplug the wiring harness in. Once the wiring harness is unplugged, we're going to then unscrew the rear frame screw, and that'll get this thing off. So, and by this I mean the actual frame itself. Screw doesn't want to get off my Allen key. I don't blame it. These Allen keys are actually pretty sweet. They are gold plated actually, so they don't scratch up my customers' markers. They're made by Bondis. No ad here. Just clean that up a little bit. All right, so this is what I'm talking about, where now that the electronics are exposed, the wiring harness is the first thing that we want to unplug. So once it's unplugged, literally just pulls up. We're going to use a 1/8 Allen key to just unscrew the rear frame screw. Okay. We'll grab the rear frame screw, put that off to the side. You'll just want to make sure that the wiring kind of clears all these different points, because the last thing that you want to do is like let it drag against the board and you'll knock out a wire. While you have the frame off right now, this is a good time to just kind of give that a good cleaning. Sometimes you might have paint, old residue, or rather old lube all in the air transfer area. And then we want to do the same thing on the underside of the body. Really clean that up. So we're now starting to expose a whole slew of things. And we're going to do a little bit of surgery / disassembly from here. The first thing that we're going to want to do in the overall strategy is to first take off the solenoid mount. This is going to allow the solenoid to come off of the marker, and we're just going to unplug it to get it completely off. At that point, you're going to have this whole manifold set up. This one's going to be off. The next one that we'll take off is this one, at which point all that's going to be exposed is the wiring. And if we want, we could break down the eyes. I'll show you how to do that. And that'll get you down to just the raw body. So we're going to take off the beginnings of the manifold with the Phillips head screwdriver. Just unscrew that. And that'll come off the body. And you'll even notice that this clip right here starts to come loose. And I'll show you guys how to reconfigure that. So set the solenoid off to the side. The whole manifold will be ready to come off from there. So we're just going to take a 5/64 Allen key, unscrew this screw right here, and then this last piece just kind of pulls right up. And one of the things you'll notice is that there's some pretty small O-rings, mainly right here on the body, and then also on the underside of the manifolds. And we just want to make sure that we don't lose them, because they are important for this thing sealing up. And then we also do want to just give this a nice cleaning. Cool. So let's set this off to the side. We're going to use that same 5/64. Oh, and see, I lost a O-ring. That came off of the body. More proof. Do not lose these O-rings. They are easy to lose. Take off the eyes from here. It's a good opportunity to just give everything a nice wipe down. And then do the same with the detents. And then to take the eye off, you'll just want to unscrew the Phillips head screw with your screwdriver. That's one eye. We're going to do the same on the other side to get the whole eye wiring harness set up off. Also, the spring that holds the, adds tension behind the detents. Do not lose those. Those are also easy to lose. Just put that back all together. All right. Also a good opportunity to just give the eyes a nice wipe down. Nice and light. And from here, clean the body. Also probably good timing to just run a microfiber through the top bore. Just get that in there, and then what I like to do is just fish it out. With the Allen key kit. Just get it right through the breech. Clean as a whistle. That looks beautiful. Cool. So we're now nearing the end of bag 4. What we're going to do is take a 3/16 Allen key and use that to take this nut out. Put that off to the side. And what I do from here is just use a Allen key, or a, what's it called? The O-ring pick. Just kind of push it out through the front. You could do so with confidence because this whole assembly is metal. Just do so gently. Might even help to just fish out the ram while you're at it. I'd even use a chopstick to push this thing out, just to make sure we don't damage anything. There we go. And this just pulls right out. There's even an O-ring in here that we could scoop out. There we go. Throw that out. Now we'll go into cleaning mode. So we're just going to stick the microfiber cloth once again through the bottom bore. Just fish it out through the other side with your O-ring pick. Look at that. So the first half is really clean. The back half is really dirty. So we're just going to go back in through the other side. Yeah, this guy needed a rebuild bad. I'm just going to use this to kind of fish things through the front. Let's see. It's still a little dirty. I need a Q-tip to get in here, to get it nice and clean. Cleaning part's the boring part, but it really does make a difference. Almost done. All right, beautiful. So, moving on to the Poppet retainer. Just going to, like everything else, we're just going to give it a nice rub down. Again, there's 3 O-rings on this. There's 2 right here that seal in front and behind the that set screw. We're going to replace those. And then the last one, the 3rd O-ring, sits right on that little ledge right there. show you all where that goes in a second. So just pop those right into their holes, and then just drop that right there. You push it down, you'll notice that it sits pretty nicely right there. And then from here, just put that face up. The actual hole side is going to face up towards the top of the breech. That way the set screw can sit right there. And it's going to be a tighter fit than before. My main advice is to just not force it. Just go very gently. I like the chopstick because the wood is non-marring. You just want to align the hole. Screw this piece back in. And now the body's pretty much ready for reassembly now. We're going to do the ram sleeve real quick, or the real quick in bag number 5. And yeah, then we'll go on to reassembly. So more in the next video. All right, guys, bag number 5 is going to be short and sweet. We're just going to rebuild the ram, and then we're going to reassemble the marker. So first thing, as per usual, we're just going to clean this thing up. Make sure there's no more gross lube or anything on it. Pop these O-rings off. The rear one, the bigger one, is a 011 Buna 70 durometer O-ring. And then the front one, which may be easiest to use, maybe not, popped off pretty easy. Sometimes I just like to use an O-ring pick on that one because it's a little bit tougher to get off. So, easy way to remember which one goes where. Big O-ring in the back, small one in the front. And what we're going to do here, you'll notice too on the on bag number 4 with the Poppet retainer, I didn't use any lubricant. It really doesn't need any. Again, lube is a blessing and a curse. The blessing is that it makes your moving parts move nice and smooth. The curse is that it attracts lots of dirt. So I did not use any lubricant there because I don't want it to attract more dirt. So for the ram, I did use lubricant, Dow 55, and you're just going to use enough to kind of coat the O-rings. You don't need to go crazy. And from there, we're just going to drop that back in, clean up the threads, and then there's the ram cap. I'm going to clean up the threads on the ram cap too. And that screws right in. And we're going to move on to reassembling the rest of the marker. So more in the next video. All right, guys, so the top half of the body is almost reassembled. We're going to start back with the eyes again. So first things first, I'm just going to, what did I do with those? Right here. We're going to take those and put them right in the eye holes. And drop the detent back in. And then we're going to pop the screw back in. I believe it's the rear hole that it goes into. Pop the eye cover back on. Make sure there's no furries from the Q-tips. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Start with the eye screw first. That'll go in the hole in the left. detent next, eye cover last. What do I do with that Allen key? I do this like once per video where I put something down and forget where I put it. Okay, eye covers are in. Next up, we're going to put the manifold back on. This could get a little bit tricky, so bear with me. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to set this part of the manifold back where it originally was. So we're just going to line it up with the screw hole. And once that's screwed down, also want to pop that guy back in. We're also going to want to put the clip back in. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. If you look right here, there's a little divot where the left part of it goes. So it's going to sit basically right here. And its job is to hold these two hoses down with the eye cover. So to get this right into place, we're just going to kind of shimmy it into or behind the hose. You may even find that it kind of goes in naturally, depending on how well it was set. There you go. And if it's in the right place, it should look just like that. So once it's there, we're going to do the solenoid next. The blue box is going to face the front of the marker. And we're just going to shimmy this guy in there, and it's actually going to sit on top of that little clip and secure it down. Once that's in place, just screw it down. This is a part with some margin for error. So if you don't screw it down right, you knock out the that little clip that we just put in there, which gets annoying. So just be conscious of that. All right. There we go. And what you'll also notice is that there's a hole right in between the two screws. If you're doing this right, it's going to sit right on top of the bottom of the three holes. So the first hole would be right there, middle one is right here, and then the top one's right there. All right, now those are secured. Just make sure that all the eye wires are properly tucked in. And now this whole setup is ready to go back into the frame, but before we do, we're just going to put some lubricant on the Poppet O-ring. Just enough to cover the O-ring. pop that back in. And now we're ready to throw the frame back on. So we're going to grab the frame. First thing we want to do is take the rear frame screw and just kind of put it in there, because as soon as we put the frame on the body... Oh, and one thing that I forgot to do here, I want to reconnect your solenoid wire. Like I said, first thing that we'll want to do here is just put the frame screw in and just kind of reroute the wiring through the frame. Maybe it's easier to put the rear frame screw in after. All right. Once that's in there, take our 1/8 Allen key and just screw the rear frame screw down again. Plug the wiring harness back in. Next up, we have the low pressure regulator. You'll notice that there's a hole in the bottom, and that's actually going to align directly with the screw that came right out of here. The easy way to do it too is there's a little divot where it gives some clearance for the barrel, so you just want to make sure that that's going directly up. I'm gonna take that screw that we took out of here. And is this the right screw for it? No. What do I do with that Allen key? No. I put it back. And just secure that screw down. Low pressure regulator is reassembled. Put the high pressure regulator back on. Plug that back in. Plug the bolt back in. Actually, we're going to keep the bolt out. Next thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to take the ram out. And the reason why is because we're going to put some air through this with the tester. And then we'll basically be home free. So that just screws right back in. And for the Vice and the Protege, we're going to want to set the low pressure regulator to about 75 psi. Manual says 70 to 75. So we're just going to increase that. And easy way to set this, looks like the customer's battery's dead. We'll replace that with one of mine. Lucky I had that there. Okay, so we're going to turn the gun on. And we're just going to take a few clearing shots so that the low pressure regulator resets. Cool. So you could see nice recharge. This thing's ready to rock. We're going to degas. We're going to unscrew the pressure tester. Ram goes back in with the ram cap. Bolt will go in from here. We're going to use my nice handy dandy silencer and gas that thing back up. Oh yeah, this thing's back in action. Nice strong shot. And from here, last thing we're going to do is just throw the grips back on. And this guy can go right back home. And these vices are sweet guns. These are basically G6Rs with macro lines, but owner's gonna love this thing. Thanks for watching, guys. Real easy marker to rebuild. Hope this helps you out.